One essential technique is to add filters to photographs to create much more dynamic and exciting looking images, and this is a great technique to apply to sports photographs. Basically, we're going to create a motion blur effect where these guys are going to be racing towards the camera, and to do that, let's just duplicate our sporty layer by dragging it to the create new layer icon. Then we have two layers, one on top of the other. So select the copied layer, go to filter, go to blur, and go to radial blur. There's lots of different blur types, but radial is the one we want for this one. Now by default it'll be on spin, which isn't particularly useful for this background image. We don't want the horses to be spinning like they're in a tumble dryer. We want them to be zooming towards the camera, and around about 40 should do the trick. On the amount, you can see there if we went down to lesser amounts it hardly zooms at all, so you get a kind of preview of the amount of zoom you're going to get by dragging and looking at these lines here. You can also offset the center slightly because the horses are going from left to right. Let's just move it to the left a little bit, just slightly off center like so, to influence the direction of the blur. And the third thing to think about is quality. Now draft is very rough and ready but very quick. Best is really smooth, it gives you a nice rendered smooth blur effect, but it's ages on the processing power, so for a quick but effective blur, stick to good. Click OK, and in a couple of seconds or less it blurs up the picture like so. Now that's really over the top. If I hit tab to hide the floating windows, you can see there you can't really see much at all of the crucial detail, especially this middle horse here. So what we're going to do is make a slight hole in the layer to reveal the unblurred layer below. So press E to get the eraser, or click on the toolbar here and choose a size of around about 800 pixels using a nice soft brush that you can get from the brushes palette here. And then make sure your opacity is something like 48%. Just click and drag this slider, because the thing about poking a hole through the layer is that we want to do it in increments rather than in one big click. So let me just take that back up there, and we're ready to start making a hole in our top layer. So select it, and then with a click just spray over the horse like so, and you're revealing a little bit of the horse, but also it's a semi-transparent hole that you've made, so you're also seeing some of the blur as well. A little bit more on the horse's face just so we can see the important details, but what I like is the streak on the hooves here, and also on the guy's hat there's a hint of blur there, and on the horse's face. Let me just Control plus to zoom in, and that gives us a dynamic motion blur effect, but also lets us see enough detail to recognize what's going on, and we can see the number on the horse as well.